Hi, I'm Samantha Heil, Executive Director of Book Fair at Bel Air, and I'd love to invite you to one of the biggest bookish events in the region. Join us on Saturday, August 8th, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at APG FCU Arena at Hartford Community College for a free, family-friendly event celebrating books, readers, and community. Book Fair at Bel Air features more than 110 authors and vendors, best-selling featured authors, kids' activities, face painting, story time, arts and crafts, photo ops, and plenty of fun for readers of all ages. Whether you're a lifelong reader, raising future bookworms, or just looking for a unique day out with the family, there's something for everyone at Book Fair at Bel Air. Learn more at www.bookfairatbelair.org or follow us on Instagram at Book Fair at Bel Air. We hope to see you there this August.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Hartford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch at first.
I never played softball. It's probably the least sexy part of organizing. It's okay. No. The truth is,
I had a young lady on not too long ago, and we were talking about human trafficking, and we've discussed human trafficking a few times on the show, but I wanted to do a roundtable discussion because we know that human trafficking is bad throughout the world, here in the States, but even in Hartford County, it's really bad, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. So I have Wendy here from Rage Against Addiction, I have Linda from HopeWorks Global, and I have Teresa from the Parents' Place of Maryland.
yes.
I didn't say the Parent Trap. I got it good. I got it right.
Yes, we met your
Alexis.
associate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because they
partner.
kept, her and Alexis kept cracking on me because I kept saying the Parent Trap. By mistake. I mean, not on purpose. It was
Good
by
movie. Great movie.
Yes.
Great
Oh,
movie.
let me tell you,
Right?
Alexis corrected me right away and told me she is not Lindsay Lohan. I was like, oh, okay. But I think that was the remake anyways. I don't think that was the original.
Yeah, I actually liked all, what is it?
Both, yes.
Both.
I
It's
like both.
Okay.
And you have it's two of the.
And then
Parent
Freaky
Trap.
Friday. Is that the
Love
same
that
one?
one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Not that,
we're
but
good.
there's
I've-
another one with Mariah Kate and Ashley, something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
those
Yeah.
two.
I don't watch any of
the
them movies.
Buckwurst.
All right. So, Linda, you're probably best at answering this question. What is human trafficking and what are the forms of it? Because I don't think a lot of people realize all the different forms of it.
Wow. All right. So I'll give you what's considered to be the federal definition of human trafficking and
Okay.
a very shortened version of it. Human trafficking is the exploitation of someone else for financial gain. This can actually be either through manipulation, coercion, or force. And a disclaimer here, it's actually for anybody that's under the age of 18, for a minor, for a child, they don't have to prove force, coercion, or manipulation. It's straight up called trafficking, and
Right.
especially when it comes to sex trafficking. So you asked me about the forms of trafficking. There's many different
Yeah.
forms. When people hear human trafficking, the first thing that comes to mind is sex trafficking.
Yeah.
That's the most common one, you
Right.
know. But we also do have labor trafficking. You know, labor trafficking is instances where people are lured into these workforce opportunities and their working conditions are actually not meeting their legal expectation, if that makes sense. So, for example, someone is in the country illegally and they're looking for a job. That's a prime environment for labor trafficking. Why? Because they can only get a job where they can be paid under the table.
Right.
So no paper trail. And even if this person pays them less than the minimum wage, basically the person is being trafficked. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's working the long hours. We see labor trafficking also in places like landscaping, construction. We see it a lot in agriculture. We also do have another form of trafficking. This is, many people don't want to talk about this, but it actually exists, and it's organ trafficking.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah, that's scary.
Organ trafficking is a thing.
Yeah.
And we've seen this. It's starting to show up. I cannot really verify the numbers in the US, but in most African countries, we've actually seen cases where people or foreigners, I hate to put it like this, from the first world countries who have been on the wait list for so long, going to what's considered third world countries to buy cheap organs. That's another form of trafficking. Online exploitation. This actually is very much tied to sex trafficking, but this has to do primarily with, mostly with children, because it's very much either familial or a neighbor or a relative that's trafficking the child, and it's done online, as the word says. So we're seeing online becoming a bigger problem compared to someone just being kidnapped or abducted and taken to a brothel down the street.
Because they establish trust, and then they create a safe space so the person or the child thinks to meet.
Yeah.
And it's outside of the parents or caregivers' visibility.
Yeah. And also with online exploitation too, like that's where it's actually considered to be the prime pornography environment. Yeah. And it's people performing these sexual acts on children while recording them.
Right. Yeah.
And I forgot to tell everybody listening, the reason I have these three on, Rage Against Addiction, of course, Wendy helps women in recovery. HopeWorks Global, of course. Your main thing is human trafficking. Yeah. And the Parents' Place of Maryland, not just mental health, but what else is it that you guys do?
We help assist caregivers with mental health, substance use, gambling, addiction.
So human trafficking is there in all those categories.
We're in the school systems, the education and all that.
Yeah.
The thing that they have in common is we're dealing with the vulnerable population.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest misconceptions that the public does not, I guess, see or whatever?
One of the things that we've seen is there's denial. So people tend to think it's not happening in my community. I live in a safe neighborhood. I live in a safe community. It's happening everywhere. Human trafficking does not have to cross borders. Right. It's happening locally. That's one of the myths that people have in their heads, that for someone to be trafficked, they need to be taken across to a different country. Another myth that people tend to have is that only women and girls are affected. No. Yeah. Men are also trafficked. Men and boys are also trafficked. And any population that's considered to be marginalized, be it the LGBTQ community, be it the disabled community, be it any community that's sidelined from resources, that sidelining creates a vulnerability. So think about when you think about the myths and you assume only women, think about how many people are in your community that look different from you. Do they have the same services that you do? That's actually one of the opportunities for human trafficking to happen. There's people who tend to think trafficking happens only in poor countries.
Right.
Sorry. It's happening in the rich countries.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Probably maybe even more.
Yes, it is. Actually.
Let me ask a question, not to interrupt you.
That's
but
okay.
Obviously, I mean, without saying the names of like what's all over the news and like what's happening, like that it's kind of in everyone's face right now. How is that impacting your work?
So
without saying that.
yeah. Right now, the biggest challenge is human trafficking prevention right now is being defined based on party lines.
Okay.
Huh?
Well, no, that I get that.
You get that?
I get
Okay.
that, especially with addiction too.
Exactly. It's being defined as them problem because they belong to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And again,
Which is wrong.
And then again, however these cases are being handled, it's going to determine the audacity or the boldness that traffickers will have. Because if I can do it and get away with it, then I'll just keep doing it.
Right.
And if this person was busted because probably the people around them were not trustworthy, then the strategies are going to change. So it's going to become even harder to identify. It's shifting. That's why when you look at the cases that we've seen in the past, we've seen maybe kidnappings and kids or girls are recovered or the victims are recovered. But now it's shifting to the cell phone. It's shifting to the computer. So how do we police that? And that's driven by how these specific cases are being handled. And it's interesting you ask because last week I was literally at the Congress. There's a bill that we've been trying to lobby through IJM. It's called Stop CISAM, International Justice Mission.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's called Stop CISAM, and CISAM is child sexual abuse material. And Stop CISAM basically is a bill that's pushing for a law to be enacted where there's going to be accountability of social media platforms where the child sexual abuse materials are being spread.
Good.
Right now, the reporting mechanisms don't exist. And I'm still responding to your question. The reporting mechanisms, the reports that organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, what they get, last year they received close to 21.5 million reports. They were only able to investigate like maybe half. I don't want to put numbers out there, but they were not able to investigate all these reports because the information they got was inadequate or insufficient for them to go by for prosecution to happen.
Wow.
So in responding to your question, right now, everything that's going on, we know it exists.
Right.
And how survivors are going to be handled or how survivors have been treated, and I'll put it out there, how survivors have been treated in the Epstein files is actually going to determine how survivors are going to be treated
in the future
for every other file, for every other case.
Right.
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, it's setting a precedent
Yeah.
that we have not had before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to know, this is kind of like the national opioid crisis.
Yeah.
So, okay, everyone's paying attention.
Right.
And we're having all these people coming in and they're providing resources that were never there before. We're listening. We're treating them with empathy.
Yeah.
We're doing all of this stuff. But you're just like, this is the very beginning of that.
Yeah.
Very beginning of that.
Yeah.
What can we do? And I think like with RAGE, the recovery homes, the schools, especially kids that have mental health issues, what can we do as the general public to raise awareness and to, I guess, educate everybody on what to look out for?
So we all work with vulnerable populations.
Yeah.
You're working with people struggling with addiction. Some of the people you're working with have mental health issues. The vulnerabilities, let's start looking at those vulnerable populations. We live in a society today where somebody will see
Someone on the street who's literally about to fall over because they just ingested something or used. And
as long as it doesn't affect me, it's none of my problem. We need to go back to having those hearts of compassion. Let's look at everybody as a human being.
Yes.
That's where it's at. Unless I acknowledge that everybody around me, regardless of their skin color, their gender, their whatever, economic status,
Sexuality.
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that.
Unless we move beyond that, then we'll not be able to accurately help recognize or even just identify some of the signs.
But yes, I mean, I get that. I get that because I mean that is obviously the target audience for this type of thing. But how are we handling the predators? Like how do we identify? How do we stop it? How do we change it? Like these are sick people.
So with predators,
Sorry.
I know.
No, you're right.
That's a very good question, and I'm like, I'm trying to
What's happening?
to think
why do people think that they can just do this?
Because go ahead.
For the most part, especially when you're dealing with the vulnerable population, most of the time they don't look. They have a label on them, so for that, because they're labeled, what they're saying can't be worth anything. And that's the thing. We have to shift the perspective. A lot of times these people, the population that we work with, they're not heard because one, they suffer with mental health. So that can't be true. Or in right now with the developmental disability, there's a lot of cases that we don't even hear about where they're sexually assaulted, and these things are happening, but because they have an intellectual disability, you don't hear them. You're not listening. And a lot of times because we work with them and sometimes they have these fantasies, we take everything they say with a grain of salt. And that's the thing. We need to remove the labels from people and just see people as people. Everybody have a voice. And although today my voice may be a little off and wonky, don't just not hear what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. There's some truth in there somewhere. Right. And it's just a matter of we have to consider everybody and, weed it out. Okay, so I hear you. I'm going to listen to what you're saying today, and I'm going to look at this situation a little bit closer. Because if I look at it a little bit closer, I might see something that I wouldn't have seen before.
And predators too, like traffickers never want to be caught. You know why trafficking exists? Because it's easy to do it. They're opportunists.
Wow.
I mean, because of money?
Yeah. They're opportunists.
Right.
So if we make it harder for them to do it through our laws, if we make it harder for them to do it through education, which is one of the things that I've made it my mission to educate the public. This is what trafficking might look like in your neighborhood. For you as a teacher, this is what trafficking might look like in your classroom when that child comes in. So with all the trainings that we're doing, we tailor them to the audience because we want you to recognize trafficking in your environment.
And in your home.
And in your home. So predators do it because it's easy and they do it because they're opportunists. And the minute we have an educated population, the minute we have an educated community, it becomes harder for them to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Makes sense. Well, but you need to have, law enforcement's backup. You need to have the legislative backup. You need to have resources for the people that are affected. And, again, like I'm not trying to keep bringing it back to what's going on right now, but, you still have people who, are buying into this never happened kind of thing. These people are liars. And we have to get to a place beyond that because I know for a fact that when my daughter started struggling with addiction, it had never even crossed my mind that this was something that could happen in my life at all. And when it started happening, and I've said this on the show and a million times when I've talked to people, like my first thing was I wanted to shout from the rooftops, hey, look what's going on. And so when I did that to her friends, families, I was getting shut down. I was getting the door shut. I was getting, don't send an email to my family email asking me questions about my kid because I don't want my husband to see it. Because maybe one parent knew what was going on, but the other one didn't. So you kind of have like this, you know, you're just a mom who's pleading, somebody help me, somebody tell me what's going on. I'm chasing this as hard as she's chasing, whatever she's chasing. And I came to a place where there felt like there was just no hope or help. And I feel like that's kind of what's still happening today, even in an abundance of resources. And yes, there's abundance of resources, but, you know, here I am sitting here after doing this for 12 years and I've never even heard of this, you know, and, or even your foundation. So nonprofits have a voice within their specific community because there's a need. But beyond that, it's hard to figure out what's out there for people.
It's time. The last time we had this conversation, I remember we talked about it's time we come together, especially as organizations just within our county. Maybe we can take the lead.
Well, there has been collaborations and community, I guess, resource things. But again, it's like, how does everybody know about it? You know, like you weren't there, I was there, but it's just one of those things where, but you got to keep doing it.
We have to keep doing it. And the most difficult. Okay, so here's the thing. If you invite me to a community fair, right? Hartford County just recently had one at HCC.
Oh, yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah. So that happened, right?
Were you there?
So
were you guys there?
So
okay.
You give out your flyers and your information. Guess what? When I go back to my office, I have so much else to do.
I still have my stack of my flyers.
Exactly.
I did not encounter you. I did not see you there.
No, we did not come for the thing.
Oh, okay.
We signed up, but we had a family emergency.
Okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing. When you go back, unless you start digging through to find out, like, what exactly is going on here? And as you're doing that, you'll probably need to take some time off work. Why don't we create an opportunity where it's not just about me giving you the flyer, it's about me sharing with you what's human trafficking? How does it affect your organization? Okay, I work with people in recovery. How are they being targeted? So that level of collaboration is something that we're still lacking in our community. We're still very much siloed in the sense that we have the recovery organizations in one silo, the mental health organizations in another silo, and we all play with cards against our chest.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and again, because it's competitive, because it's political, and, you know, everybody's trying to like, go for the same pot of funding and that kind of thing, which makes it difficult. And I like how you said cards, you know, close to your chest, because it is very, you know, we don't want to speak to them about this because then they might take my opportunity or that type of thing, which is not really happening, but it's like the mindset that it could happen because everybody's doing something that's beneficial in the community in some way. And like, I'm interested in the training. I would like for you to train me in some capacity if that's possible, because I do like I'm, you know, just like do you guys do mental health first aid?
So that we do mental health. Our goal is to what PPMD do. We're peer support. So like you said, how do we get that pot? So what we do is when a caregiver comes to us, we're going to offer the emotional support for the caregiver, but we're also that organization that say, hey, Rage Against Addiction is over here and they offer this.
Right.
You have HopeWorks over here, and this is what they offer. So what we do is we connect the caregivers to the resources in the community.
Well, here's a really good example. I got a phone call this week. I don't even know what day. It's Thursday. So I got a phone call this week. I answered the phone, and it was from a family member of a prior resident, and that resident needed a higher level of care, mental health, rather than just addiction. And sometimes we don't know, is the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken? Like, what really is the catalyst to what's happening right here? You know, and we are sober living, so we are not technically equipped or want to have someone that's in crisis because it disrupts the whole house. So you kind of have to pick and choose what, you know, this person obviously needed a higher level of care. And then when they left us, they went there, they still needed a higher level of care there. They left there, they were placed, and then they were literally taken out of that situation at that facility and dropped off in another state at a family member's house. And when they woke up, the person was on the back door in crisis. God. So I get the phone call because that was the only thing, that was a solid connection that the person in crisis had to some kind of help. But now they're in another state. I don't know how to help them. I don't know the resources there. And it just kind of went in this merry-go-round type of situation where I'm kind of saying, well, you need to kind of take them to a mental health facility. And I don't want to name drop, but like Shepherd Pratt. I'm just saying in your area. Like, and she said, okay, that is something. But you have to get the person to agree to go. And once they agree to go, you have to get them to agree to stay. And that was not happening. So now we have a family that doesn't want this person there because they can't handle it. You know, they have small children in the home. This is a chaotic situation. And it's just heartbreaking because at what point, you know, do you have to let go and like say, I don't have any more resources for you?
So for that, what will happen is, okay, so you get that phone call. You refer them to Pern's Place of Maryland. What we will do from that point is, one, we're going to help that caregiver find the resources wherever. But we're also going to work with that caregiver to say, hey, they have to want to do this. Okay. And we help them to understand or try to give them tips and tricks on what they can do in this time so that they can feel comfortable about what they're doing. Because let's be clear, when you're dealing with a loved one and you're in crisis, life is life, and the last thing you're thinking about is how you feel and what you do. The only thing I'm thinking about is I need to get these resources. So now we're going to take the weight off. They're not trying to find the resources. PPMD is going to do that for them. So we're going to connect them to that. In most states, there are other organizations like ours. So what we try to do is just make all the connections that we can.
And do you help with other states? I'm just saying, for instance, would you have been able to guide at that point? The very least, what we could do is try to find the organization in that place. Like, from what I understand, New York has several there, just like our organization, which is Family Peer Support. Right. So it'll start there. So then we connect them to the different resources. But as we're connecting them to the resources, we're now talking about, okay, now what are you doing for you? Have you put yourself on the list? Because you may not make somebody else's list. This is how we got to do this. Now, let's talk about how we get your caregiver get your loved one to this place. They choose not to get there. Now I'm trying to help you be okay with the fact that they don't want to get there, you know? And it's through our lived experience that we're able to do this. We're able to say, okay, I was there. I know what it's like to look out my window and see my daughter across the street at 3:00 in the morning in Baltimore City, believing that she's safer over there. Right. No, I want her in, but she's like, because she has this, you know, she's in crisis, this mental health thing is going on. I don't understand it, but good girlfriend over here has been through it and she understands it. So that's what it is. That's how
the family peer support work with PPMD, we're able to say, okay, I know what it's like to feel that. So this is what I did. This is how I get it. How about you try this? Well, go over there, Rage Against Addiction. They may have something over there for you. They may be able to help you over there. They come to you. You don't have it. Okay, well, let's go over here. They have voices of, visions of hope. We have that. That's what we do when we come out to the resource fairs. We're collecting all the resources that we can because we want to be able to direct that caregiver to whatever resource that they need. But not only that, we're looking at the whole person. So it's not just getting them to a resource. We want to make sure you get to a resource, but we want to make sure that you're able to advocate and say, this is what the need is and how to do that.
Right. I think one of the things we need to start looking at also, and I agree with you, Teresa, the holistic approach. And I love the fact that you're giving the resources or pointing to the resources. But one of the things that we've done as HopeWorks Global is we have a pool of resources. And if we're going to create like a task force, and I know somebody is struggling with addiction, and that's why they were sex trafficked, I'll do a warm handoff to you. I will not tell them go. I'll do a warm, hey, I have this person.
Right.
I've created this, it's a tool that I have, and with all the resources, before I release somebody, I'll say, let me call this person and find out. Literally 2 weeks ago, I got a call. Trafficking victim. What did they need? They already have an attorney helping them figure out like the custody and everything. Actually, no, they already have an attorney helping them figure out like paperwork and all that. So we've come in with the custody issues. So we're already seeing further ahead than the victim is or the survivor is. And we're already calling the attorney to say, hey, I have this case of this person. As soon as they're done with this stage, they'll be handed off to
the next phase.
To the next phase.
We kind of have that and I'm saying in addiction, recovery treatment where someone might get to treatment and then they have, they stay at a 3.1 and then they go to sober living and then they kind of are like sent off into, independent living. So yes, you have that handoff. It's like, what is it called?
I just call it the warm handoff, honestly.
Yes. There's no gaps.
There's no
gaps, and so they can't fall through the cracks. But I love what you were saying. I really do, and I think that would be a really good community nonprofit group that everybody could give a presentation instead of sitting there and coming and just getting this. We'll have a presentation because now I know you. I know your face. I know what you're all about, and I can take what you say in terms of this presentation from that workshop, and then the next person goes, and you have this platform that we don't really have because I went around to the tables at the community thing, and there were some that I really got engaged in having a conversation with, and then there was others where there was somebody else talking, so I kind of moved on, and I might not have gotten back to that. So there was like I didn't get the full thing, but I also think that having like-minded or resources that can overlap would probably be beneficial. Not that food insecurities is not important to people. But maybe we need to have the trafficking, the mental health, and the addiction as a very specific kind of workshop presentation to do. I like that.
But we also need to acknowledge in Harford County that we have a problem.
Yeah.
Right now, we are all in denial about everything, not just about human trafficking.
Not the ones, not us. It's the
when I say
the community.
When I say we, I'm not trying to point the finger.
Yes.
We're in denial that these problems are happening. I hate to put it like this. Unless we acknowledge that homelessness is a problem in Harford County, let's start by acknowledging that the problems exist. and then we'll be able to appreciate the solutions that are coming in. That's why doors are getting shut when you come in, because nobody wants to admit that their child is actually an addict.
Right. And, they don't even want to house them.
Yeah.
We're having a housing crisis.
Yeah.
And the mantra for our daughter's house program is that healing begins with safe housing.
Exactly.
You can't heal unless you have a safe place to do it.
When we start peeling the onion, let's get to the root cause first. Right now, we all have solutions around this table. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
We have solutions around this table. But the root problem, I challenge you, and please call me or text Rich or comment on this podcast, wherever you can. Go ask your whoever representative leader is. Go ask them about homelessness in Harford County. Make it local.
Yeah.
Make it local. Don't ask about Maryland, because Maryland includes Baltimore and everything else. Just ask about Harford County. Ask about addiction in Harford County. Ask about trafficking in Harford County. We're in the election season right now. Guess what? For every meeting that I've gone to, my question has been, you're running for office. What are you going to do about trafficking? Regardless of who the person is. Be it the sheriff, be it the council, be whoever, regardless of whoever it is. Because I want you to acknowledge, as the leader in this county, that we have a problem. And that way we can start addressing it. Why? Why is it that last month, or was it 2 months ago, we had 3 girls who were missing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Terrifying.
So let's talk.
Terrifying.
And they don't listen to us. You can
Well,
tell you can tell
you'll
the young
also
people.
see if like, let's just say, for example, that shows up on your Facebook feed, and it's this precious person it doesn't matter what color they are, what neighborhood they're in. You're going to see immediately all the comments, and they're going to be like, oh, well, I think that she had addiction issues, or her family's not this, and so this is your community talking about someone who is in a situation that probably 100% doesn't belong in this situation, and we're judging them.
Yep.
And we're judging them. I just look at that stuff and I just am like, I just can't even believe you. I want to cuss.
Go ahead. It's never stopped you before,
I know,
Wendy.
but I'm trying to be a little more refined and be more respected by not using my vulgar words, but you know what I'm saying. So that's right there. I mean, and also that's a free platform where they feel like they can say whatever they want, but that's really how they feel. That's how they feel.
We feel that way, again, going back to, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where, when we talk about all these things, the trafficking, the addiction, the mental health, if seeing your neighbor's child or a child in your community, a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old missing, doesn't break your heart, that you immediately go to judging the parents or judging the child, I hate to put it like this, but there's a problem with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Indeed.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Indeed.
Well, and I think that we are straying away from having values.
True.
We become desensitized because of the social media platforms. So you're gonna pass by this, and it's gonna hit you right when you see it, and then you're not gonna think about it again because our brains are seeing so much that it's not even relevant.
Yeah.
We're seeing too much on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's telling everything. It drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. You're talking about everything but what you should be talking about. And that's how we're going to get our people free. Free from addiction, free from sex trafficking, free from just being victimized altogether. You'd rather talk about what they...
Yeah. To give you context of the trafficking issue, and this affects the populations that you both serve. Last year, the NASDAQ illegal crimes report, financial crimes report, reported that trafficking went up by 23%.
Wow.
From $236 billion in 2023. I don't think I saw the 2024 report, but in 2025, $528 billion globally.
That's scary.
Well, and because there's no punishment.
Well, it's like she said earlier too. It's easy.
It's easy for them.
And no one's going to believe you.
Yeah. You said it earlier. So this will actually, let me give you context of how I got into this, all right? So I worked for a different organization in Harford County. This lady came to me and she was struggling with addiction. She just needed help to get out of the situation. We started like talking, how we can get her into a center and everything. And while at it, one time I remember calling her and she told me, "It's a good thing you called me. I just came from the hospital." I was like, that doesn't make sense. No, backtrack actually. Before I called her that second time, I'd called her before and all I had was, "I need somebody to blow my effing brains out." And I'm like, what's going on? She was like, "I went, prostituted myself. All I wanted was a tiny dose of coke and it was laced with whatever it was laced with." And she felt like her brains were going to blow up. So I hung up, called 911. I called her back and listened to them as they administered Narcan to this woman who was overdosing. That was such a timely call because the kids who were at school came back home to CPS waiting for them at the house.
Wow.
Because when they came back home, all they saw was blood everywhere. This woman had been bleeding and everything. 2 weeks later, I called the lady just to check on her. It's one of those gut feeling call. I called and she said, "You just called me at the right time. I just came from the hospital today." I'm like, "Wait, they held you for that long, for 2 weeks?" She was like, "No, actually, I was taken in 2 days ago because I was being suicidal." And I was like, "No, that doesn't sound like you. Like, knowing you, in my gut, I knew that was not the truth." So I was like, "Okay, cool. Can we get together? I want to buy you dinner." She stood me up, but I knew where she lived. So I was like, "Okay, I'll just come." I went over to her house and this lady who was struggling with addiction, and now we are at the point of mental health crisis, is telling me about, I'd gone with one of my friends, and he's telling us about how this guy she met at one of the recovery meetings is her soulmate. So the guy had listened to her story at one of the recovery meetings, came back and told her the story of her life. So she thought, this guy knows me. What does that sound like? Manipulation.
Are they trafficking in the recovery meetings?
Yes.
Wow.
So that was the start of the gaining trust. Like
that is the vulnerable populations
yes.
hotspot right there.
Exactly. So the lady was like, "Oh my gosh, I just found my soulmate. He's gonna marry me and he's gonna take me to this place and this place." As we're talking, I asked her, like, "How did you end up at the hospital?" And she says, "I woke up one of the nights. I was just feeling so tired. But when I woke up and looked up, this guy looked like the devil. And he basically, I got up and I was trying to break away from him. And he's the one who called 911 and said I was being suicidal." Long story short, this guy had been dragging this lady, raping her, recording, selling on the dark web. What is that? Trafficking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't know.
When she was kind of getting senses of what was going on, He called and claimed mental health. So she was treated as a mental health case and not as a trafficking victim.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That went full circle. No, seriously, honestly, it, and I don't think that it's going to get any better until some of these things start to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary part. That's so scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
It's so scary. And personally, my own sister, 16-year-old, 16 years, for 13 years, all she did was man after man after man after man, drug after drug, probably, we don't know. But the last time I saw my sister, she was laying on a bed on the last stages of HIV/AIDS. The day after, I went back and she was gone. Why? Because for 13 years, month after month, day after day, and we were surrounded. We talked about like why the community doesn't respond the way we were talking about the stigma, the judgment and everything. It's because of such things that trafficking, addiction, mental health issues will go unrecognized because people don't want to talk about them because of the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
We did not talk about my sister being a victim of trafficking up until recently, actually. It took me 22 years
to figure it out. Right.
And to verbalize it.
Right.
22 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's scary.
It's
Very
scary.
scary.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to talk about these things. Let's normalize the conversations, yo.
Yes.
And start saying there's a problem in the world that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
If we're waiting for the elites to come and solve the problem, they're not going to solve it.
Well, and
You're going to be waiting for a very long time.
That's,
Yes.
We're the people that are sitting here that are in the trenches. We are the boots on the ground. And it's a labor of love because you have a passion or a purpose for it. But it's hard to get people to, I guess, recognize that we need help too. In terms of like finance, because in my own experience and my own research, nonprofits were founded because there was a need in the community, and it was a need that the government was not providing. So people stepped up and said, these people need food. Now addiction, resources or trafficking help or mental health, resources as well. And it's not there until someone realizes that they need to do something because of a loved one. Like again, with my daughter, I had absolutely no idea what to do when I found out. And I was like, where do I go? Where do I turn? So instead of, trying to figure that out, because when I was shouting at the rooftops, nobody cared. I just said, okay, I'm just going to take one step at a time and figure out how to do it on my own. And that's what we've all done. And even if you didn't found an organization and you're working for the organization, you're not going to find a job in that field if you don't have a heart for it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. I want to share something really special about a company that I not only trust, but also use and also truly admire. Freedom Federal Credit Union. Why Freedom? Because they go beyond everyday banking to really make a difference in our community. They've established the Freedom to Help Foundation, which actively supports local initiatives, making our neighborhoods stronger and more connected. Whether it's promoting financial education or backing community projects, Freedom Federal Credit Union is there, investing in our shared future. And it's not just about community programs. I trust them because they provide excellent personal and business banking services that make managing finances straightforward and secure. Their commitment to our community and their members really sets them apart. So if you're looking for a financial partner that aligns with your values and actively contributes to bettering the community, check out Freedom Federal Credit Union. Visit them today at freedomfcu.org or call 1-800-440-4120. Join me in banking where it matters.
That's the one thing about with PPMD when I was going through it. I mentioned earlier when I was going through the mental health thing and with my daughter and her illnesses and trying to just struggling with her life. I didn't know what to do. Like, what do I do? Who do I go to? You know, nobody was there to say, hey, try this organization or try that organization. I'm here to help you. And to talk about what I was feeling and the feelings and what I'm dealing with and how to deal with that thing. So that's one of the things that I really, really appreciate about organizations like Parents Place in Maryland, because you have what I call good girlfriend that don't have mad day. I call it good girlfriend that don't have mad day. And that's that girlfriend that you can go and talk to and she can say, hey, let's do this. This is what you can do. You know, we don't work with the victim. We work with the caregiver. Right. Because, you know, as caregivers, we don't know what to do. We need that support. Yeah. We don't, you know, you go into, my thing was, I'm trying to tell the doctors what's going on with my daughter, and they're treating me like you just want to check, you know, and like they did not hear me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I would go, could not work. And they're like, well, you just don't want to work. You just want to check. Trust me. I don't want your check.
I don't want to do this.
I don't want your check.
If I could have her healthy, I could go live my own life. Yes. Right. Instead of spending the past 12 years trying to help somebody that there's no other resources for. Yeah, right. So yes, I get that. And being the caregiver is very isolating. Mm-hmm. Your family and friends tend to like step away because they don't want to invite that into their lives, or it's exhausting. They don't want to hear about it over and over and over again. And until you have some kind of resolution, it's going to be something you talk about continuously, or you pull back and you don't talk to anybody, and you're very isolated, and then you become sick.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I breathe this work, because I do not want another caregiver to be in a place where they just don't know what to do. You don't know what to do? Come on over here. We know what to do. We've been through that. Right. What we don't know, we're going to find out together. Yes. But what's not going to happen is you're not going to be alone. We're going to do this together. So here it is. What do we need to do? What's the issue? What's the problem? How can I help you get to that next step? That is the biggest role of a family peer support specialist, just to let somebody else know you are not alone. You don't have to do it alone. I thought it was so hard for me because I didn't have anyone. My daughter passed at 30.
Do you mind probably, and I think you're starting to talk about it, and you've talked about it in bits and pieces, but just for the sake of our listeners, maybe, I don't mean to take you down or take you back into that, but do you mind just sharing like your story?
Oh,
I know you've touched
I live for it. I live for it. Yes, just because my story will help someone else. Yeah. I don't mind at all. My daughter was diagnosed with diabetes at age 11. She had diabetes and Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism, which affected her moods and all these different kind of things, and the diabetes. And from that, she was on insulin 3 times a day, and she began to feel as if you could look at her and tell that she was sick. And then, of course, when you're a kid and you're going through just being diagnosed, the doctor's like, oh, she has type 1. No, it's type 2. She doesn't need insulin. Oh, she needs insulin. And my daughter developed this thing like the doctors don't know what they're talking about. So then it became, from there, it was went to depression, anxiety disorder. She would get have these anxiety attacks so bad to the point where she would stutter for days. And people would think that she was intellectually challenged, and she wasn't very smart. And then on top of that led to her being bullied. So then she would go into the school system, go into schools, And when she would get to school, I would get a call. As soon as I'd be walking in my job and I'm getting a phone call, you need to come and get her. I went to the school system for help. I went to DSS for help. I went to all these people trying to get help for my daughter, and they just looked at me like I was crazy. You're not saying, they would not hear me. Well, we don't see this here. Well, we don't see that at school. You know, I tried to get an IEP. I tried to get a 504, but of course she has, chronic, she has a health disease. Well, they don't
that doesn't apply to this.
Right. And diabetes, they don't consider a chronic illness. Okay. So here it is. Right. Because if her sugar levels drop, she's going to pass out. Right. I got a phone call one day that my daughter was laying on somebody's step. She had blacked out, had an anxiety attack so bad to the point where she was laying on somebody's step. Out of it because that anxiety took over so bad. It was
debilitating to her.
Yeah, and she at that time she was about 16. Well, let's fast forward. 8th grade year, she went into the school system. No child left behind, right?
Right.
I'm asking for help all this time. She goes into school. My daughter came out of school December the 22nd. She never went back until the next school year.
Wow.
I told them, keep her in the 8th grade. They sent her to the 9th grade. I ended up then having to have my daughter go into, she was in Johns Hopkins Day Hospital. I tried to take her there to have her admitted because at this time, I don't know what's going on. I'm struggling. I just had a new baby. I have no clue as to what's going on. And then I had another middle daughter, but my daughter, she's struggling. And from that diabetes diagnosis, took her all the way through a whole lot of mental health diagnoses at 18. She graduated high school. We ended up having to take her. She went into, when she went back into school, after I had to go all the way to the Board of Education, to Roger Shaw at the time, was over the Board of Education in Baltimore City. And they had this new school where you could do 4 years in 3 years. So you could go from 6th grade all the way through high school. And she went into that school because they were going to, after telling me that she could not stay back, take her to Hopkins, get her together, and then we go back into the school system where they had to my daughter had to go to school with her therapist sit in the back of the room for about 2 months.
Wow.
Twice a week. And then they had to wean her back into the school system. She's thriving, doing well. The following year, they come and tell me she has to stay back. She can't go forward because she didn't get enough. She was missing one credit. Wow. And I said, the devil is a liar. What you're not going to do is set my daughter back, because the moment you set her back, you're not only setting her back in her education, but you're setting her back mentally and her mental. Yeah. So that's when I had to go to Roger Shaw. And she ended up going to Baltimore Community High School, where she finished 4 years and 2 years. She graduated, went to hair school, graduated. Well, guess what? She then gets sexually assaulted. Set her back some more. So now she's trying to deal with the diabetes. And now at this time, she's now on insulin 3 times a day because she just didn't think that she had diabetes, fought me at all costs. Of course, she's 17. I'm trying to give her medication, but the doctors are blaming me because she's not healthy and because she's not taking the medicine the way she wants. So who gets the blame? Mom. Mm-hmm. Mom. So now I'm depressed, but I gotta put the face on because I have 2 other kids, and I gotta make sure she's okay, right? Mm-hmm. So my village, I have a wonderful village, but they didn't understand. They didn't know what I was dealing with, because there came a time where I would say something or talk to my village about these things because they don't understand it. Oh, she just wants attention. Yeah. You need to do this. She need to be punished, And so what do you do as a caregiver? You shut down because you don't understand what I'm dealing with. So it's no need of me talking to you about my issue. It's easy for people to
judge what they would do.
Right.
A lot of people think they're therapists and doctors and they don't have the license.
Don't have a clue. No. Don't have a clue. You don't know what to do with my super kid. So moving forward, she graduated hair school. She moved to North Carolina to go to school for to become a teacher. And it was just things that was happening down there. The mental health, she was in and out. I'm up and down the highway like clockwork. If I get a 2 get that North Carolina 252 on my phone right now. My daughter has been deceased for 3 years. If I get that phone call, everything in me is going off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to see the number.
Yeah.
You never get over that, you know?
Get it. Yes.
And so when she was there, they told me my daughter would not make it to 30. Well,
because of the diabetes?
Because from the diabetes, of course, if you're not taking care of the diabetes, now she has stage 4 kidney failure at age 25.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She says stage 4 kidney failure. She go into the doctors. They say, well, you can't have carbs. You go over here. You need to eat greens and salads and things like that. But then she goes over to the kidney doctor. They say, you can't have salads. You can't have these things. So now that's another thing that's piling onto the mental health, because what do I do?
Right.
You know, and then it went
and it makes them give up.
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening. She had a sore on her foot.
Oh, shit.
Nurses come into her house to clean her foot twice a week. The foot, she's telling them something is wrong. There's something wrong. And they're like, no, nothing's wrong. She ended up losing her toe.
Mm-hmm.
They told her they was cleaning twice a week.
Right.
How? You told me it wasn't. It was so bad till it was stinking.
Ugh.
And you're cleaning it every day?
And there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
for the
she
diabetes,
suffered.
yeah.
She went through. My daughter went through so many different things where she just was not hurt. She kept saying, "There's something going on. I have an infection." She's in the hospital. They labeled her in the hospital as an addict. My daughter does not.
What?
She did not do drugs. Not at all. She just didn't want to be in pain. She was in severe pain
Right.
all
So that because
the
she was
time.
asking for painkillers, they were saying, yeah.
And they would want to offer her Tylenol, but we know she has a kid. She's telling them that something is wrong. They didn't listen to her. She said, there's something going on. No, nothing's going on. You have a urinary tract infection. She said, no, I don't. I don't have a urinary tract infection. I got on the highway because she was now out. Get on the highway. At this point, anytime my daughter goes into the hospital, I'm going to sit beside her bed because they don't hear her.
Right.
When I got there, my daughter had a hole in her whatever you call it, the bowels. So her bowels was leaking into her stomach.
Oh, shit.
But they thought that she just had a urinary tract infection. That's what they were treating her for, and would not hear her. Did not hear her. She's in and out, in and out. I'm doing 30 days in the hospital beside her bed. I watched my daughter cold 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
3 times.
And it was all because of the bowel rupture?
It was the bowel rupture. She had, they had given her fentanyl. The first time they gave her fentanyl, they brought her back, put in her files that this medication is something she could not have. Well, when I watched her cold 3 times, they gave her fentanyl. I had to end up going to the medical board, the federal board. Nobody ever got back to me. And when she came home,
yeah, and
the last trip was she went in. She went in and she had to have a part of her heel removed, and it got infected. I went to pick her up. This was June 4th. 2023. I went to pick my daughter up in North Carolina. Check this out. Doctors called me that morning and told me that my daughter just needed to pick up some antibiotics from the pharmacy because they had just released her. I said, well, did she check out or did you release her? She was discharged. All we need to do is tell her to pick up the antibiotics. I left Maryland at 4 in the evening. Nobody gets on $4.95.
No,
That time of day.
No.
Going to North Carolina to pick my daughter up. When I walked in the door, I said, something is not right. She's not right. I took her from there and I drove back here to Hopkins. She was tired. She didn't want to go in. By that day, June 5th, 12 o'clock, Wednesday, she couldn't even tell me her name. She was septic.
Oh.
She was septic. Hopkins wanted to do an emergency amputation. Her leg was infected. And I was like, well, I can't do this. And she's not woke. So what they did, they gave her medication until she was able to wake up. And then they discussed that they were. So before her 30th birthday that they said she would not make it to, the day before her 30th birthday, she had a below-the-knee amputation. My daughter passed. That was in June. She passed that November from a heart attack.
Oh, she went through so much.
Where? I told them something's not right. She was in a mental health facility because she was having some challenges. She was in crisis, and we had done, I think at that time we had just did 30-something days in the hospital. And she went into the behavior house. She wanted to go in because she felt off. And when she was supposed to be discharged, I came back from a cruise and I had COVID. So she couldn't come home. And they were going to make arrangements, but the therapist came in and was like, I kept saying, something is wrong. You're off. Her face was swollen, and I'm on video, and I'm like, there's something wrong. She kept saying, no, I'm okay. She was the type of person that you could slap her on one side. She'll turn around for you to slap on the other side, and you can slap her on. She was that type of person. People would come to see her to help her.
You mean like passive? Like she wouldn't?
She's very forgiving. She was very forgiving. Okay. Although she was a firecracker now. She wasn't innocent. She wasn't innocent, but she was just that type. When we went to bring her home and they were making arrangements, the doctor came in and was like, she's not doing well. LaDonna's putting on, and she doesn't want to go home, and and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm gonna hang up on you. And I was like, wait, hold up. What are you talking about? We just talking here. And she's want to act like a kid. Anytime my daughter heard my voice, even at 30, she would be like, hey, mommy. That was just our way. But they took it as if she was acting like a kid. And that whole thing went. Wow. 2 hours later, they called and told me that my daughter was unresponsive. She had a heart attack.
Oh.
And they tried to revive her and could not. She passed.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Her life, for me, will never be in vain. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make sure that another caregiver, or anybody for that matter, has the support that they need.
Yeah.
Because if she had the support that she need, or if I had a me and I could tell somebody, go over there, they got this. Do you know about this right here? Well, what about that?
I like that.
She would still be here.
Yeah.
She would still be here, but I didn't have that. So, I'm grateful for the organization that I work for, Parents Place in Maryland, that's doing the work, and I'm here. You don't have to go do this alone.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, hey, try this. We have this over here. There's this place over here that can help you. Go over there, they can help you there. So that's my life work. It's my life work. I'll do it until I close my eyes.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That was a long story, but yeah.
No, sometimes you just need it. You need to get it out and just talk about it, because not everybody asks. They don't.
And people need to hear that, because unfortunately, there's other cases like that.
Yeah.
And it's unique in a lot of ways, because the things that we deal with and the things that you're dealing with, it wasn't any less important, but she had a very different path. And so she wasn't trafficked, she didn't struggle with addiction. Mental health was a result of kind of the care that she got through the health system. And unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry. I know that feeling.
The greatest reward was being able to have a conversation with her. Those conversations we had in the hospital, and the things that she just felt comfortable enough to say to me, to talk to me about, and just letting me know, and just saying, one of the comments that she said to me, things that she said to me was, God, let me go through this to help somebody else.
No.
So,
and she's right.
She's right.
Yeah.
She is.
She's right. So, the
because
first
you wouldn't
time,
be talking here today.
No, but I have to make sure that her life was not in vain.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that people know that if you just listen. The doctors, I've sat on one meeting with, I'm not going to say what group, but I had to sit in on a meeting. I used to sit on one of the boards and helping a caregiver, and the kid is like 8 years old, and we don't have the beds for the mental health kids. Some kids are really struggling, and it's not just a behavioral health thing. And this kiddo was in the emergency room, and this happens a lot today because there are no beds,
Right.
And they don't have that in between place for the kids to go from. Okay, well, we don't have a bed in the hospital, but you can't be at home either. So
Right.
what do we do? And this kid was in the emergency department, and the doctor was like, "Well, you need to come and get him." I mean, we send people out all the time, and I'm helping a mom. Of course, we don't advocate for anyone. I'm like, "Mom, I need you to do what you feel is best. And if you feel as though you can't keep your kiddo safe, please don't go pick her up."
Right.
Because she was trying to unalive herself. And the doctor said, "Well, if something happens, just bring her back." And I had to.
If something happens.
Yeah, and I had to.
Well, that's where prevention is not in the forefront of anyone's mind.
Yeah.
We're actually more of a reactive society. We have all these intervention programs, but we don't have preventative measures. Which is where we were talking earlier, like, let's start with the education. What we were talking about earlier, like the advocacy in terms of, hey, good people, this is what's going on in our community. Let me educate you on what trafficking looks like.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, the intervention is actually guided by knowledge. Let me guide you on how a medical system that has failed a child leads to mental health struggles. Whatever dynamics that lead to addiction, be it socioeconomic, the poverty, peer pressure, all that. Let me educate you on what this looks like, even as we are trying to get the intervention in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, prevention is a big thing, and a lot of times people aren't looking ahead at what's happening. They're reacting to what's happening now.
Yeah.
Like what created this?
Exactly.
And I'm gonna say, like, my daughter grew up in Hartford County. There was no physical or sexual trauma in the home. I'm 99.9%, can hang my hat on that. But she was a product of divorce. We did move quite a bit. And, I really can't pinpoint it, but I also feel like there was genetics involved where when she took that first thing, she was an instant addict, and it was like 100% go. And then whatever happens at that point goes down all the other roads.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I need a punch bag or something.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Hearing
You
your
need
story
to
and
have one in
everything
this
else.
room.
I know.
When you have to tell a doctor, like, and with the mental health piece, you have to tell. I had to actually. First time, I don't advocate. I'm just the ears and their mom or caregiver, and I have a conversation. But when I had to actually say to this doctor, you said bring her back if something happened. What if she doesn't make it back?
Right.
What if this mom wakes up and her kid is unalive? Then what? Because here, at least here, they can have staff that's can give her this medication, right? If she's in crisis, she's trying to unalive herself, trying to, do self-harm in any form of fashion. If mom is home, just kiddo and mom.
And of course she needs to work.
And mom is going to go to sleep. Some of us can't, right? Because if we do, then the kid is
right.
It's too much, right? So, but mom is supposed to stay woke 24/7. She can't. So what happens when you take that kiddo home that's you feel is stabilized, but they're really not?
Right.
And if something happens, bring them back. Well, what if I don't get the opportunity to bring them back? Because you have 5-year-olds that's unaliving themselves.
Yeah.
What?
5.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
But you see, also, there's a word that you've kept using, and we talked about desensitization earlier. So right now, the way the system is playing wordplay. Right now, we cannot call, and I hope this is not taken down. You can edit
No, you're
this part
fine.
if you
Trust
want
me,
to.
you're fine.
Right now, we cannot call suicide by its name because we want to sanitize. So when we say suicide, it carries a heavier weight.
Mm-hmm.
When we say addiction, it carries a heavier weight. We don't want to call the thing by its name. So the system now is forcing us to actually start sanitizing the problem just so that people can be comfortable with the problem.
Yes.
Trying to make
Yeah.
it sound more
So we say
positive, and
unalive.
that shit
Right.
ain't
Well, I
working.
noticed you were
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah. And then, you don't say now. You can no longer. Well, we no longer say. You attempted suicide.
Yeah.
You had an unsuccessful.
Yeah,
attempt.
which is like,
You see,
well, damn. Let me go back and try again
Words,
so I can be
words do have
successful.
power.
Yeah, they do. So
they're trying to spin it to
yeah,
right.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's
I don't want to offend you.
no, I don't want to
Yeah.
offend. Yeah,
No, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Like, using these words or changing their meanings by calling them something else. We're trying to protect the people that aren't experiencing it.
the look on your face. Sorry.
I don't want to offend you.
And then we say, oh well, if you say you have they committed suicide. Oh, then the other person is like, this is the thought process. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That, oh, well, when you say they committed suicide, now somebody else is like, oh, they were successful. Let me go and try what they did.
Yeah.
Oh, they think that it's going to well, and I'm gonna be honest. When, sex trafficking is so, I don't need, this is a terrible word to use, like terrible, for lack of a better word, cringy. Like, it's a topic that makes your your skin crawl, because you're like, oh, there's just, everyone is just so vulnerable. It could happen to anyone, and even saying it just feels terrible. It really does.
It's like the 3-letter word that's on the beginning. We can say trafficking, but don't say the sex part.
Right.
We can say kids are being involved, but don't say the sex part. Okay.
Right.
Well, the thing that you're not saying is the thing that's happening.
Well, we need to. You have to have shock value in order to get people's attention.
Yes.
Right.
What do people, when you look at the news, what do people gravitate towards? The headlines, the negative headlines.
Right.
You got to use those words because it's going to grab the people's attention. It's going to make them listen. If you call it something else, most of the time it goes ignored, and it's not sinking into their freaking brains.
It's the desensitization.
Yeah.
Right.
Wordplay. It's all about wordplay. And how we present it to the world. The reality is, again, human trafficking is a problem.
Yeah.
When I say trafficking, somebody might just think of, they might choose to hear traffic, period, and think 95 traffic, period.
Yeah.
But when we start talking about it's human beings being sold for profit by somebody else, when we start bringing it now down to your child is at risk, because they're being targeted. When we start showing, hey, your sister is at risk, your brother is at
That's
risk.
when they stop listening, because they don't think that that's going to happen to them. So if I don't, you said that, that's not a topic for me. Addiction, sober living in my neighborhood. You know
God,
what? No, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
It's all of these things that if I don't acknowledge it, then I don't have
If
to
it
help
doesn't-
towards
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. If we don't talk about it, then it doesn't exist.
Right.
And the thing that really cracks me up with some people is when you think human trafficking or things like that, and a lot of people mindset, it has to be somebody standing on the corner. It can't be that
your neighbor.
It could be your kid in your house.
Yeah,
there are
that's
stories
true,
where these young girls are trying to get with the best kid in school, and he's like, oh yeah, I like you, and then next thing you know, he's like, hey, you need to meet me at Tim's house because
he's
a video
of you doing this, and he's now selling it, and he's a freaking high schooler.
You do things, and
so his brain, his dopamine goes off because now I am going to get addicted to this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when you were on last time, Linda, which really shocked me, how many people do we know, families that have a child or even the adult with special needs? Mm-hmm. And those are
they are really, really targeted.
Yes.
Special needs people are really targeted. I have the pleasure of caring for my aunt when my grandma passed. I got my wonderful aunt, and the stories that she told me that she went through. And of course, because she has an intellectual disability, people's not listening to her, didn't hear her. And then she's labeled as a liar,
right?
But with me, she knows I'm going to investigate everything you say. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's working with you better know I'm going to investigate everything you say, because what happens is you try to act like sometimes she might tell you a story and say it happened yesterday and it could have happened 10 years ago. Yeah. Right. But in her mind, it happened yesterday.
Right.
So I'm going to investigate everything, because although some things she may tell some untruths, it's a lot of truth in some of that stuff that she's talking about.
Well, I mean, I think not to sum this up, I don't know like how far we're going to continue, but I think, believing someone, wanting to protect someone, and if you're not someone that is affected by this, you frankly don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, I've always been one to say, if you can't support my organization and it's not your passion, it's not something that you're familiar with, please support one that you do care about, honestly, because there's no lack of need in all types of things.
Yeah. I truly believe that all the organizations tie in, especially when you're talking trafficking, human trafficking, drug addiction, mental health. They some kind of way they're overlap.
Together,
they're all connected in one way or another. Even with the mental developmental disabilities, you have youth that goes into school they come out of school. While they're in school, they're getting all these supports, right? Once they come out, you give them nothing. So what do? I'm on the spectrum. And I don't have a caregiver. Yeah. So now the only thing that I can do to cope with the thoughts in my mind is I'm going to use, I need something to help me get through that. So I find in the city, I come across a lot of people who have that co-occurring addiction and mental health, or, they may have developmental disabilities, but they don't have anyone to care for them. And they went out the school system with no supports. Right. They don't have anything. Where when they were in school, they had counseling. They dealt with a therapist. They had somebody telling them, helping them along, guiding them through, and these things. And then they graduate, and you just say, go out there.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, you were talking about unpeeling. Is that
peeling the onion?
Unpeeling the
peeling
onion.
the onion.
But we have to remember that at our core, all of these things that are happening are the layers that need to eventually come back off. Yeah. To get down to the root of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure, ladies. Do you have a question for them?
No, do you all? I'm not going to do the
question.
That question.
I think for me, the last thing I can say is if you suspect anyone is being trafficked, don't just look for one pattern. Mm-hmm. Earlier, we were talking about like cultural differences in behavior. Observe, is somebody being controlled? I mean, does somebody look like they have issues of maintaining like eye contact, not because they're shy or because that's usually a tricky one, because that's, eye contact is a tricky one because that can be cultural too.
Right.
You know?
Well, and honestly, even people who have, experienced that and now they're later in their life, they still have that problem to make that eye contact even with trusted people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does somebody have their documents? I mean, I was literally talking to a group some time back and I asked them, do you know if the people who do landscaping in your neighborhood are all safe?
Documented?
Not even documented.
Safe.
Let's not even talk about documented.
What do you mean by safe?
They could be trafficked.
Labor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Labor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, but when I said documented, I meant because you said, do they have control of their documents? So someone could withhold that information, so they're kind of forced to be doing what they're doing. Okay, got it.
Like, do you know if the person, like, sometimes when I walk into the stores, I'm constantly just looking around to see body language. You can tell to some extent. Look for, like, when you strike a conversation with someone, like if I walked into a store and probably there's two of you walking and I said hi and he responds and you're kind of like, should I respond? Like, you can always tell the body language that someone has if there's something going on or not. And the one thing I will emphasize on, get off your freaking phones. Stop walking around the store with your phone in your face or walking around the store with your headphones on. Situational awareness is important.
Saying that, you're making yourself vulnerable as well when you're doing that. You're walking, just looking at your phone or headphones on, you're making yourself vulnerable. Because if you're walking down the road and you see stuff happen in broad daylight, somebody could easily come up, throw a hood over your head, grab you, throwing you into a van. Seriously, though. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
They can.
You know, that down in White Marsh, in the White Marsh area, in some of the neighborhood, neighborhood associations, they're letting you know you have to be careful going into the mall. Women are coming up missing every day in the mall. Yeah. All the time at the mall. Why? Because you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. You're on your phone. You're in the store. Prime example, my niece was in Spelman. She just graduated from there, and she was in the Target. And her dad, because of the different things going on in the area, he installed a camera into her mirror. And just so happened she was paying attention to her mirror, and somebody she saw in the store was following her to see where she lived. Not to get her right then, but they wanted to see where she lived, because they're watching you, and you have to be careful about what areas you're going into, who's in the store with you, who's coming out of the store with you, because you have people in the store might ask you, do you know where the sugar is? And you're like, yeah, I know, it's over there. And you think he's going to get the sugar. When you go outside, he's at your car trying to get you.
Right.
A couple things, those of you listen, I want you to let this sink in. We have to be aware. And you remember after 9/11, everybody was aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like we lost that. Something I see a lot of people doing, and from what I did in the Marine Corps, this is something I was taught. Never take the same path to wherever you're going. Always change your path. Never sit with your back towards the door, if you're by yourself especially. Always keep an eye out. Look around you. You go somewhere, know where the exits are. No, unfortunately, you don't know where phones are anymore, because I don't think they have wall phones anymore.
They do not.
But just be aware
of your surroundings.
And when you go in somewhere, like if it's a restaurant, if you're by yourself, make contact with somebody right away that works there. So if something does happen,
somebody recognizes you.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So those of you listening, just there's and look out for the people around you as well, because somebody may be giving you a signal that they need help.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to speak up or say something.
Yeah.
That part.
If you feel like you can't take this clown down, that's walking away as a
Actually,
kid.
I'll pause you right there.
Okay.
Don't confront the trafficker. Your responsibility is to report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't confront the trafficker. Your responsibility is to report. Call 911 immediately. You can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline. You can call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I'm happy to report that we are actually their official partners in Harford County of the National Center and Missing, for Missing and Exploited Children. So we'll be able to probably take some of those reports as well. We are putting those, the resources needed together for that. Like, don't confront the trafficker. Get to know the numbers. Save them on your phone. The same way you have 911 on speed dial. Always have somebody on speed dial. Parents, pay attention to what your kids are wearing.
Yes.
If your kid walks out of the house, and probably, if you're a predator listening to this, we found you out. But here's the thing. Parents, anytime your child leaves the house, if they were kidnapped, what doesn't change? Their shoes.
Say that again.
Anybody who kidnaps a child will not change their shoes, but they might change their clothes because it's harder to find a pair of shoes that fit.
Okay.
So pay attention to the full outfit that your children are wearing, if you can.
Wow.
It's terrifying. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's terrifying and I hate it.
Well, it definitely is terrifying, but it's something that needs to be.
I really need to get serious with this too. Like, I've told people, one of the shirts, I designed the thing. I just need to put it on my website. It's a shirt. Don't make me turn my feelings into felonies. Because in this line of work, I'm just like, don't make me turn my feelings into felonies. You're like,
I can see that shirt selling a lot to a lot of fathers as well that have daughters. I'd wear that in a heartbeat.
It's going to be up on the website. Coming soon.
Do it.
Ladies, I want to thank you so much. Give everybody, for everybody listening, each of you give your website.
Parents Place of Maryland, ppmd.org.
It's Parents Place of Maryland. That whole thing?
No.
Just ppmd.org.
ppmd.org.
I'm messing with you.
HopeWorksGlobal.org.
RageAgainstAddiction.org.
Perfect. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was wonderful.
We heard heartbreaking stories of lives forever changed. Not because people didn't care, but too often because they didn't listen, they didn't believe, or they simply looked the other way. And one thing that really stayed with me is something that was said during this conversation. If we don't acknowledge there's a problem, we'll never solve it. And that's true. Awareness isn't about living in fear. It's about choosing compassion over judgment. It's about paying attention to the people around us. It's about asking questions, offering help, supporting organizations doing this work every day, and remembering that the person who seems different or difficult may actually be the one silently asking for help. To Linda, Teresa, and Wendy, thank you. Thank you for having the courage to share your experiences, your knowledge, and your hearts. The work each of you do isn't easy, but it matters more than words can express. It truly does. And to everyone listening, if this conversation moved you, don't let it end when this episode does. Share it with someone you love. Talk about these issues. Learn the warning signs. Support the organizations making a difference. Because sometimes one conversation, one phone call, or one person willing to pay attention can literally save a life. Until next time, I'm Rich Bennett. Thanks for listening, and remember, every great conversation starts with someone willing to listen and someone willing to share. Now it's your turn. Join the conversation by sharing this episode, leaving a comment, or reaching out to me directly. Take care, be kind to one another, and I'll talk with you again soon.